Hey guys, late again. I went out this afternoon. I want to share a story with you. I didn't do anything this morning. I just chilling out. Actually, I was making some being a little bit creative, doing some different videoing and with my phone mainly. But I just love being creative and stuff. Anyway, then Jan had to go to like it's not a funeral, it's like every so many days after a funeral, I think 3 months, 6 months, 100 days, a year, something like that, and then every year after that they get together and celebrate the life of somebody who passed, and everybody comes and celebrates, which is, I think, cool. But then she came and we went to Big C. I needed to get some few pieces. I wanted some fish for my dinner. It's a breaded baked shrimp, breaded baked fish, and a little bit of salad. That's my dinner today. So this is a personal story about me and my childhood. One of many things like this. So I don't know how I got to where I am today, but I'm sharing it. I'm going to share it, and I believe it can help somebody. Okay, so here goes. I ask again, if you want to comment, please do, but just be respectful. Okay, thank you so much. I told you this before. My father was in the U.S. Navy. I was born in. My mother's British, and he's from the U.S. He was in the Navy, and they met in Portsmouth. And I don't know how long they were together, but so I was born in London, and soon after we moved to Iceland. After Iceland, we went to, from what I remember, Boston, and we lived in Quincy, Massachusetts, which is across the bay from Boston, so you could see Boston from across the bay. And back then there was a naval base in Boston, so some old Navy guys might remember that. And he was a photographer there, and I was about 8 years old, and I joined the Boy Scouts. And what happened today was, I still have my hat, and I still have the dongle or whatever it's called, that thing that held the scarf on. I still have that, and when it flooded, you know, everything, the house got disturbed and things went everywhere. So I was tidying up an area today in the bedroom, and it was sitting on the floor, and I'm like, where did that come from? So I put it on my desk, and Jan came after we got back and sitting down for 5 minutes. She said, what is that? And I showed it to her, and she remembered. I showed it to her before, and she goes, wasn't that from when you were in the Boy Scouts to help hold your scarf on? I said, yeah, that's right. And I said, and a story came. I told her before, and I don't know why I said it, because it's sad, right? So the American people will know this, so I'll just tell the story, and hopefully you can follow along if you're not familiar. So one of the things was, there was like a wooden racing car that you had to buy, and it was coming in like a bubble plastic on a card. It was a piece of wood, square piece of wood for the vehicle, 2 pieces of wood with some slits in it for the axles, 4 nails, and 4 black wheels, plastic wheels. They could have been metal, I don't know. Anyway, the idea was the father and son build the thing together, and my father, being the alcoholic he was, and not a father, I was all excited to get started, and he says, I'll help you, but not yet, I'm busy. So, okay. So we had like, I can't remember, to be honest, but it was quite a while before the event. But the idea was to do it together. So he says, I'll help you, but don't do it, touch it, otherwise I'm not going to help you. I said, okay. I was like beside myself, 8 years old, wanted to build this car, and he wouldn't help me. And it got closer, and I'm like, exploding inside, wanting to take it out of the package. Days go by, weeks go by, and he still wouldn't help me. So like 3 days before, I said, okay, I don't know what to do, but I'm taking it apart and I'm going to try to do the best I can by myself. And after that, he says, I'm not helping you. Well, he didn't help me anyway. So the night of the event, of course, he's nowhere to be found. He didn't come. I go there by myself in my uniform, go there. All the dads are there with their sons. Everybody's laughing and joking, talking. Big, big event. All the dads and the kids. And then the races started and people were being called up, and it was like, from what I remember, 4-foot tall ramp with like a Hot Wheels but wider, and a track. The same on both sides. You put your car on and then they say ready, go, and you're supposed to let go. It goes down and then it goes along this long track, and whoever gets to the other end wins. So I didn't know what I was doing. I just put it together the best I didn't even know what wood glue as an 8-year-old. And it got to the end and completely fell apart. Sorry, it went down the ramp, and before as it started to turn, it fell apart, completely fell apart. And everybody started laughing. And I just, as a kid, I stood there and I put my head down and really didn't know what to do. Do you cry? What do you do? I didn't know what to do. I just stood there, put my head down, and was quiet. And very quickly, everybody stopped laughing, which was nice. And I stood there around watching the dads and the boys, they continued to race, and then they had the heats, and then somebody was the winner. Well, we knew who came last because I made it to the bottom of the ramp. And I went home, and that was it. Walked home by myself, went there by myself, and walked home by myself. So I told that story to Jan, and I have no idea why I told her it. And I started feeling quite emotional, so I guess it's still painful in there somewhere. And then I sort of questioned it, and I was talking to Jan, and she just listened. She doesn't really know what to say. It's not her, she's not a psychologist. She just calmly listens and let me talk. And then she had to leave, so we come up to the carport. She gets in the car, she's ready to leave, and I said, maybe I'm supposed to learn something from this. I don't know. And then I think she wanted to change the subject. She said, did you see the neighbor's kids? They have a little boy. He's about, well, he's not little anymore. When I first come here, he's about 2, right? Or 3. He could barely stand up in the car. He's always in mom's lap. And now he's riding on the back of the scooter. He's like feet on the pegs, tall guy. And so over the years, Thais don't celebrate Christmas, but I always buy him a Christmas present. And each year as I got older, I got it more something that like educational, that would challenge him, like electronic stuff, building this, building that, wiring up a bell, all that sort of stuff. The stuff I loved to do when I was a kid, like when I was his age. And then something inside just like hit me, and I started feeling like I wanted to cry. I'm telling you this true story, right? I felt like I wanted to cry, and I could feel water coming in my eyes. No tears running down my face, but I could really, the emotions really smacked me in the back of the head. And I said to Jan, so what I was thinking of this, thinking about what I'm about to say, and started filling up. So I said, maybe giving those children the presents and gifts is something that I wanted as a kid. And before I could even get it out, that started. And she was, ready to go. And I said, anyway, see you later, bye. And she left. And I just thought about it for a bit. I'm like, they always say if you share a story, it helps. I'm not 8 years old. That story is 60 years old. I'm 68, right? 60 years old that story is. And that still touches me today. And I'm sure, my point is, I'm sure you guys have got stories. I'm not asking you to share them. But you know what I'm saying? There's somebody out there is a dad or an uncle or something, and there's a kid out there who needs a hug, or there's a kid out there who needs to go fishing or go for a walk, or just say, hey, let's go get some ice cream. The neighbor's kid who has a father who's an alcoholic, drug addict, whatever. If you can, please take him for ice cream, take him fishing, or if you're fixing something in your garage and he walks by, say, hey, what are you doing? And then let him come up, give him a chair, and then you can sit and watch you work or talk or something. And maybe we collectively can change the world. But if you've been through this, something like this, there's more to the story. It goes on and on and on and on. I've had too many stories to tell, but I just felt like it's like wandering around in my head, so I thought I'm going to tell the story, and I hope somebody gets something good out of it. If it's caused you pain, stirred up a nest that you have, I'm sorry. I'm sure there's got many stories to tell. And I apologize if you have pain. But I just felt I wanted to share it. Maybe somebody could help somebody. You know, when my parents split up and I came to England, and I'm happy to say this, I had uncles and aunts, and now I'm like 15 or 16 years old, lost kid, grew up with an alcoholic, narcissistic mother, right? Really narcissistic, terrible childhood. And you know, I was bored. I had nothing to do, nowhere to go. I didn't know anything, no money, nothing. And how many took me fishing? How many of my British family said, hey, Kev, come on, let's go fishing. Let's do this. Let's go for a walk and talk. How many? Zero. Nobody out of my mother's side of the family. Nobody would sit down and talk to me. I remember driving I lived in Lincoln, in my grandmother's house. I remember I bought myself a 10-speed racer. I pedaled from Lincoln to Cherry Willingham to my aunt's house to go fishing. So I parked my bike at their house and walked across the fields to a river. I remember, and I don't know how long it took to pedal there. But do you think he came out the house and walked down there with me just to hang out? Nope. I came back and it was like uneasy feeling, so I got on my bike and pedaled on home. That's my both sides of the family. I must have been a terrible kid in my past life or something, I don't know. But again, the point is, there's a kid out there somewhere who needs a hug or needs something. So I'm not saying be a pervert, but buying them an ice cream, just spend time with them. You know, if you have a lawnmower that needs fixing. Anyway, I shared the story. If you want to comment, I would love to see it. All the best, guys. This camera's still working and it's dark, almost dark here. I was busy again, sorry. Anyway, buckets of blessings, rivers of peace, joy, and kindness. All the very best. Good night.